D'Angelo Russell, the former All-Star, has never met his expectations with the Minnesota Timberwolves. But this year in particular has been extremely polarizing for D'Angelo Russell, but let's talk about why. I will note before we get into this conversation that at least he has been more available this year. That doesn't mean that his availability and production in that availability has resulted in him being any less polarizing. Angelo Russell continues to be an important part of the Minnesota Timberwolves, but Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns look like the star duo moving forward. However, the scoring and playmaking that D'Angelo Russell brings to this group is still crucial. Russell continues to disappoint in Minnesota, however, as he has been nowhere near as good of a player as he was in Brooklyn when he got that All Star nod, and ultimately nowhere near the value of his contract. This has been the least efficient season of D'Angelo Russell's career. At the time of recording this, he has been shooting 38.3% from the field and 33% from three on nearly 9 attempts per game. Still solid numbers in terms of points per game, but on those attempts, at that efficiency, it definitely does not lead to the elite level scoring or all-star level scoring that has been expected of him after his time in Brooklyn. Some people just quite frankly get confused by seeing good points per game numbers and assume they are a good scorer, but that is just not the case with D'Angelo Russell. He can get the ball in the basket, no doubt about it, but he is not some high level efficient scorer that you want leading your offense. Two 19 point per game scores are not equal. That is an important distinction to make. You have to factor in efficiency, difficulty of shots, their role on a team. Someone who's getting 19 points shooting catch and shoot threes is nowhere near as impactful of a three level score as someone who's putting up 19 points per game on good efficiency while shooting from three, creating his own shot, creating shots for others, mid range, at the rim, you name it. And so a comparison for this is someone like Fred VanVleet. Fred VanVleet is also a key player to the Toronto Raptors, also their starting point guard, their primary playmaker, and has their ball in their hands a lot, takes a lot of threes, but also attacks the rim and has a bit of a mid-range game. Fred VanVleet's efficiency this year is 43% from the field and 38.9% from three on 8.5 attempts from deep a game. Numbers much higher from an efficiency standpoint of D'Angelo Russell, both while having fairly similar roles, and you can actually argue that the high-end talent in terms of help on the offensive end is much less for Fred VanVleet than D'Angelo Russell, as D'Angelo Russell has Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns around him, where Fred VanVleet has OG Anunoby, who's been out for half the year, Siakam, who's been out for half the year, and then Gary Trent and Scotty Barnes. Malik Beasley is also a member of the Minnesota Timberwolves as well, who can take a little bit of that pressure off that is not on the higher echelon. The efficiency is the negative of what makes him polarizing this year, but there are many positives as to why D'Angelo Russell is on this group, because otherwise we'd be hearing a lot more about negatives. To start, he is still the primary playmaker for the Minnesota Timberwolves. He is their lead guard. He is their guy leading the charge. Even with Patrick Beverley there now, he's still the best playmaker on the team. He is the guy who was asked to do a lot of the playmaking on the team. He doesn't necessarily always have the ball in his hands on offense because Karl Anthony Towns, of course, runs things a lot. Anthony Edwards increasingly is running things a lot, and that ultimately, I think, is going to be the long-term duo of this group. But ultimately, D'Angelo Russell is that playmaker for this group. Nowhere near as good of a playmaker as he was with the Nets, but nonetheless, still the best on this team and has been very important to this team in that facet. Secondly, D'Angelo Russell's late game scoring has been very important for this group. He sits in and around the top 10 in the league in scoring per game in the clutch this season. As much as you would think that Karl Anthony Towns or Anthony Edwards are the late game guys for them, they aren't. They haven't been so far. And ultimately, again, I believe they will transition that way, specifically in the way of Anthony Edwards as a perimeter player, as it's much harder for bigs to create their own shot and get their own looks late in game, unless you're just someone like Giannis, who has the athleticism of a perimeter player as a big. D'Angelo Russell, for the time being, is crucial to that Minnesota Timberwolves late game offense, getting the buckets, and he is much more efficient in those late game moments compared to the rest of his game. And of course, the unfortunate part to all of this is that D'Angelo Russell is doing this production while not on a contract that represents his values to the basketball court. If he was on a much smaller contract, there wouldn't be so much polarization about it, although he still would be shooting inefficiently, and there would still be some concerns about his overall production from that standpoint. When you're getting paid as much as he is while being inefficient, but still being important to the Minnesota Timberwolves team, it makes it a weird situation. That is what makes him so polarizing, especially when you consider the fact that Karl-Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards are in town and look to be the star duo moving forward. But with that being said, his playmaking isn't necessarily something that is internally immediately replaceable unless Anthony Edwards becomes an amazing playmaker overnight or Patrick Beverley just takes on that role immediately. Patrick Beverley is not some elite playmaker either. That in mind, there's still a reason that he's on this roster. They need that playmaking, and immediately there's not really a solution for that internally. As mentioned, Anthony Edwards and Karl-Anthony Towns are the duo moving forward. That is their scoring star duo. Ant is the young guy, tons of upside, potential future All-NBA guy. He needs to improve a little bit more, no doubt about it, but he is going to be that guy for them. But ultimately, D'Angelo Russell is still here. D'Angelo Russell is still needed, and he's going to continue to be polarizing as long as he's on that contract, as long as he continues to be inefficient, and as long as he continues to be in Minnesota. That is my thoughts on why D'Angelo Russell is so polarizing, especially this season. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.